Hello and welcome to another episode of Business Matters. My name's Stacy Bruzzese and I'll be your host. Our first guest today is Randy Donckers. He's from Amerisite Land Survey. Thanks for coming today, Randy.
Thanks for inviting me, Stacy.
It's great to see you. And I am excited to talk about Amerisite and your career in land survey. It sounds like such an interesting thing to do. You get to be outside a lot.
Yes.
If someone were interested in land survey, what would you tell them about the career?
Well, it's a great career for people that like to be outside. Can be physically challenging at times. There's a lot of lugging of equipment through the woods, and you might have to be in thick brush and cut a line through thick brush. At the same time, you could also be working in an office and doing white-collar work where you would work on a computer all day, and you might do research or CAD work. It's very complex. It's always a puzzle. Every job is different, and it's a fun job. You never get bored.
I can imagine. I can imagine. How did you get started in land survey?
Well, I was working in a factory for $2.32 an hour, and I got sick of staring at factory walls and doing assembly line work. And so I joined the Army and went to the U.S. Army Land Survey School. And I spent 2 years in Hawaii serving on top of the volcanoes for radar stations and high-powered microphones and Air Force jets. It was a lot of fun.
It sounds like it. I don't think it could get any better than that.
Yeah?
But you came back to the mainland.
Yes, I did. I love New Hampshire.
So is land survey something that you have to be licensed to do, or can anyone perform their own survey?
Well, it's not like other fields, like an electrician or a carpenter. You can't do your own land surveying. You do have to have a license.
Okay. Well, there you go. How long have you been a licensed land surveyor?
I've been a licensed land surveyor in New Hampshire for the past 25 years. I'm also a licensed professional land surveyor in Massachusetts for the last 20 years. And I'm also a licensed septic system designer in New Hampshire for the past 12 years.
Oh, I'm sure that keeps you busy.
Yes.
So if somebody was, we do a lot of applied academic programs with Pinkerton and some of the other local high schools, and if one of their students was interested in land survey, how would they go about getting involved in that profession?
Well, a lot of times companies will hire temporary summer help, and that's a good place to get started. You typically be a rod man carrying a lot of equipment and out in the woods mostly all the time. You wouldn't be in the office until a later stage in your career.
Sure, sure. So internships and just kind of job shadowing things is a great way for them to get some experience and knowledge.
Yes, it's a great summer job.
Very good. So tell me a little bit about when a land surveyor is needed. Why would someone need one? What kinds of projects would they be doing that would force them to call you? Okay.
Well, a lot of times people buy a piece of land and they don't know where their property lines are. The realtor will tell them, well, your property line's by the oak tree or by the telephone pole. And then at some point in the future, a neighbor might be doing something near that property line. And all of a sudden they think, hey, he's on my property. And it turns out into a dispute. And instead of the person hiring a land surveyor, they end up arguing with the neighbor, move your stuff off of my land. And sometimes they are over their property line, other times they aren't. People might want to build a garage or put an addition on their house, and they need to know where the building setbacks are. Every town has different building setbacks, and a land surveyor typically is required to prepare a plan for that. If people are wanting to put a fence up, it's best to hire a land surveyor first, instead of putting the fence up in the wrong location.
Expensive mistakes to make, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. They definitely can be. So what types of land surveys does your company perform? Is it mostly residential, mix of business and residential?
It's a big mix. I perform surveys for everybody, bankers, lawyers. I do property line corner layout. I do certified plot plans, lot line adjustment plans if you and your neighbor want to change some land around so you have a different property line. Subdivision plans. I do American land title plans for commercial property. Okay. Pretty much everything.
So a lot of people, myself included, don't really understand how land surveys performed. I mean, I know we see the people out there sometimes with the cameras and they're shooting angles and things, but tell me a little bit more, tell the audience a little bit more about the process.
Well, it's probably one of the most misunderstood professions there is. Everybody thinks we're taking pictures for a magazine or something. What we would do to start with is we would look up the property owner's deed, and we also look up several deeds around their property. Everybody's property is related to another property next door. And we look in the registry of deeds, we find plans that relate to the property, and then I will calculate all of the plans in my computer and load them into a handheld computer and bring that into the field, and then I'll make measurements from a point of reference like an intersection of a street, and bring my metal detector and measure with my tape and try and see what I could find. A lot of times monuments are buried under the ground, and at that point I'll set up my instrument and measure some distances at angles and locate everything that I can find, everything that relates to boundary evidence. And I'll bring that information back into the office, and I'll do some coordinate geometry and try and get the pieces of the puzzle to fit together. If I do get it to fit, which sometimes is more complicated than others, I'll go back out in the field and I'll lay out the property lines based upon the new coordinate system.
Excellent. How long does that take usually, that process for you?
Well, every piece of land is unique, and they're all different sized lands, so you can't really put a specific time period on, but for a typical residential lot, it could take maybe 3 days.
Okay. And what does it cost to have a survey performed?
This is another misunderstood area of land surveying. Everybody thinks there's a fixed cost for a piece of property, or if they have a real small piece of land, that it's cheaper than surveying a big piece of land. There is no fixed price. Every piece of land is different. One parcel of land might have a bunch of monuments, but the monuments aren't necessarily in the right place, or the deeds might overlap each other. It's a very complex situation and very challenging.
So are you able to give an accurate estimate to a client prior to, or do you really need to get out there and dig around first before you can quote them a price?
Well, I'll typically look up their deed, and I'll look at the internet to see what maps are online. Depending upon the neighborhood, I may take a ride by, especially if it's an older subdivision, something done in the early 1900s. A lot of times the monuments have been destroyed or they were never set. So those types of situations, I may want to look around a little more before I give somebody an exact price. And sometimes I'll just give them a range, but typically it's based on an hourly fee, and a lot of times I can do that right over the phone within an hour or two.
Okay.
And the estimates are all free.
Excellent. And the monuments you've referred to a couple of times, are those like actual buried poles? I mean, I've seen, you know, square stone markers, the marble markers in my yard. I don't know if those are like official or if someone just decided to put them there.
Well, the square monuments that you see along the streets may or may not be your property corner. The municipalities own the area outside of the roadway. A lot of people don't know that, but you typically don't own up to the edge of the pavement.
Right.
And these monuments, a lot of times, especially in newer subdivisions, do not go directly to your property corner. They could be changes in direction on the sideline of the road where the road would be straight and then it begins a curve. They'll put a monument there.
Okay.
And they may have set your monuments. Monuments could be made up of anything. I've seen axle rods that were monuments. It could be an old oak tree.
Okay.
Many older properties like farmlands have stone walls. Those are typically monuments, but they also have stone walls that were just for cattle.
Sure, sure. So, sounds like the Hawaii project was a lot of fun, or surveying in Hawaii. What other projects have you done that are maybe notable or interesting to you that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I've worked on a lot of diverse projects. I've surveyed the Mall of New Hampshire in Manchester.
Okay.
And I did a title insurance survey for that. I did the construction layout for the center of New Hampshire on Elm Street, along with the parking garage complex. I've surveyed at Benson's Animal Farm when it was in Hudson, New Hampshire.
Oh, sure.
Laying out the roller coaster.
Oh, no kidding.
They had to know exactly where the curves were all going to fit together.
Right. Well, yeah, that's important.
I recently did a survey for Surf's Up in Nashua, which is an indoor surfing center.
Oh, fun.
I've also surveyed inside the Valley Street Jail in the cells with the inmates standing around me wondering what I was doing.
Well, that's interesting. Why did they need that inside? Out of curiosity.
It was an accident survey, and they wanted to see where the guards had visual lanes that they could see what was going on in cells.
Interesting. I had never thought of using survey for that purpose. So do you in cases like that, then you're working with the state police, local police, or how does that come about, something like that?
Well, the jail was being sued, so I'm not sure exactly who hired us.
Gotcha. Okay, legal issues. So tell me a little bit about, I don't know that many land surveyors, but certainly there must be several of you out there. Tell me a little bit about what makes Amerisite Land Survey different.
Well, I'm a one-man operation at this point. I have a very expensive robotic total station, and it allows me to do one-man surveys. It's very efficient. A lot of companies will send out 2 guys to do the work that I can do in the same amount of time.
Nice.
I have 30 years of experience, and when I go out to your property, I'm an expert, and so I know what to look for, and I can make decisions while I'm out in the field. And I do all the field work and the office work myself. A lot of companies will hire men to go in the field and locate the information, then they bring it back into the office, and then the guy in the office has to try and figure out what the guys in the field did. It's a little confusing at times, not as efficient as one guy doing everything himself.
Right. You know what you were thinking when you were standing out there in the middle of the field, right?
Right.
Or in the middle of the woods.
Yeah.
Does Amerisite Land Survey perform any other services other than land survey?
Well, I do land planning for people who want to figure out how to subdivide their property, or maybe how to divide it when they're when they pass on and they want to leave some land to the kids. I also do septic system designs.
And do you find that for the septic system design, is that primarily with new pieces of property, someone just bought it and they're looking to build there, or are you reconfiguring existing failed systems, or a little bit of both?
I do both.
Interesting. Well, for those viewers watching at home who may think that they could use your services, either they're planning an addition on their home or in a dispute with their neighbor about a fence, how can they get in touch with you, Randy?
Well, they can call me directly at my home phone number, which is 603-483-5880, and I answer the phone 7 days a week. They can also reach my website, which is amerisitelandsurvey.com, and every estimate is free.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us here today. It's been a pleasure, and I'm happy to have learned a little bit more about your business.
Thank you.
Thank you. To our viewers at home, please do check out amerisitelandsurvey.com. Give Randy a call if you're in question about your property lines, or if you're in need of new septic system design. I'm sure he would love to chat with you. My name is Stacy Bruzzese, and I appreciate you watching today. Thank you. Welcome back to Business Matters. Our next guest is Gail Migliozzi of Fitness for Life Worksite Wellness, and also the chair for the Chamber's Health and Wellness Committee. Thank you for being here with us today, Gail.
It's a pleasure, Stacy. Thanks for having me.
Great to see you. I know you've been extremely busy on your committee and in work too, but the committee's planning the 2nd annual Health and Wellness Expo, which is coming up in just a few short weeks now.
That's right.
What's new and exciting this year?
Well, we're really excited to have it at Promises to Keep, but even more excited to have it with the Red Cross. So we're going to do it in conjunction with their blood drive, so we'll be getting a lot more traffic between the two of us, so we really hope we can get a lot more participants to come and join us.
Excellent. And the Red Cross, that's a tried and true location, I know, for the Red Cross in town, so I'm sure that will help. People know they're there?
Absolutely.
And they'll find out we are.
Yes, there are lots of signs, and we're going to help each other.
Fantastic, fantastic. So in addition to the location change, I know you guys have added on some new elements in the fair. Talk a little bit more about what people can expect.
Well, they have an opportunity to learn a lot about their personal health. We're excited to have Chef Nicole from T-Bones come and do a cooking demo. Also, Hannaford's going to stop by and do a cooking demo as well. And there's an opportunity to experience a lot of different screenings for blood pressure, BMI, waist to hip ratio, and some other health screenings. So and they're all free. So
fantastic. Free is a great price.
Free is a great price.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand just from talking with you a little earlier that there's really something for all age groups at this fair. I know a lot of times the senior population likes to take advantage of the free health screenings, which is great, but there's things for teens, for children and parents of teens and children. Talk a little bit about a couple of the things that you have going on there.
One of the new things this year to attract the teens and, of course, the parents with them is something called a seatbelt convincer to help them experience the importance of wearing a seatbelt when they're just starting to learn to drive. So that's one of the things that we're having. We're also going to do a bike helmet safety check. So, you know, younger kids to any kids who do any kind of wheeled sports could really benefit from coming. And then, like I said, there's going to be a lot of screenings, and there's also going to be chiropractic screenings too. So anyone of any age that is interested in back health should come see us as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I think that there's been a good response for sponsorships this year, too. And I should tell you that a new one just came in this week.
That's great.
From Parkland Medical Center. So, yeah, we're very excited to have their support. But also, as you know, Walgreens, Center for Life Management, and the Girard at Large morning show, too. So it's been a great response in terms of the support for the event, and I credit your team with that. You guys have done a great job getting the word out there. For those viewers at home, tell them when it is.
Well, you mark your calendar. Save the date, May 7th from 2 to 6 at Promises to Keep in Derry. And I believe Chef Nicole is going to be there at 2, so make sure you come early and then go next door to the next room over, and you'll get an opportunity to give blood with the Red Cross blood drive, and they always have a goodie to give away as well. And we hope that you can bring other friends, family members, neighbors, and really learn a lot about different personal health resources right in your local community.
Absolutely. It is open to the public, correct?
It is open to the public. Admission is free.
Right.
Which we love that price.
Exactly.
And they'll have an opportunity to take a lot of information home with them, as well as experience some screenings and really get some information on how they're doing in terms of their wellness and their health.
That's fantastic. Are there any booths still open, opportunities for more vendors to come in?
We have a handful of booths open, and we encourage you to call as soon as you can, because tomorrow is the early bird deadline, and you could save some money on your registration. Let us know if you need electricity and a certain booth space, and we'll be happy to accommodate you. But it's going to be a great venue. It's a nice open setting and Promises to Keep, so we know that people are going to be able to really see what's going on when they're in the room.
Excellent, excellent. One additional thing I wanted you to mention, I know that you've been working closely with the nonprofit group here and are incorporating them into the fair somehow.
Yes, we are. We're very happy to have them join us. They'll be in the lobby area. They'll have some tables, and they'll be able to share the different services that they offer to the community as well. So if you're interested in learning about those nonprofit services, come by for that as well.
It sounds like a very well-rounded event, Gail.
Yes.
Congratulations. Nice. So for those of viewers at home, if you want additional information about the Health and Wellness Expo, or you're interested in participating, please visit the Chamber's website, www.gdlchamber.org, or of course you can call the office 432-8205, and somebody will be happy to get that information to you. Welcome back to Business Matters. My next guest, Thomas, is the founder of a brand new charter school here in Londonderry called the Founders Academy. Thanks for coming out today, Thomas.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to see you. We haven't seen each other in a while.
That's true.
And I know that a lot of work has been done on this charter school since then.
We have moved forward and successfully, I can say.
I am very happy to hear that. For our viewers at home who aren't quite sure what a charter school is, can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. So a charter school is a public school, first of all. We are an alternative to the traditional schools. Charter schools are mission-driven schools. They have a specific focus or mission according to its charter defined.
Sure.
As well as they are governed by a board of trustees. So that's what defines the difference of a charter school. It's a school of choice. So a child and a parent has to make a decision to join that school. And so with that said, the Founders Academy is a school that is going to focus specifically on the classical education. We're going to study the classic literature, his in-depth history, for the reasons of, because we want to address leadership extensively. So we want to study the great thinkers, the great leaders of the past, how to translate this into the 21st century leadership, and then ethics, business, and law.
Well, that sounds like a great mission.
It is.
And I know it's for the middle school aged students, 6th through 8th, is that correct?
So the school is going to be a 6 to 12, correct?
Oh,
it's middle
okay.
and high school, but we are opening up with 6th and 7th grade. Potentially we look at 8th grade as well, but 6 and 7 is the entry point of the school.
Okay.
Then every year we're going to add another grade until we reach the full spectrum of 6th to 12th grade. We're going to start with 100 students this fall in September. And by full capacity, eventually in about 6 years, hopefully, we will end up with about 600 students.
So if you stay true to your growth expectations, it sounds like a child entering as a 6th grader would be able to stay there throughout their 12th grade year.
Correct. They should be able to graduate in our school.
Excellent.
And we hope they do.
I hope so. I hope so. The Founders Academy obviously is slated to open in September. Those students who come to you, they're obviously coming from school systems in the local area. What does that do to the local school system? How does it impact, I should say, and how do you get the money versus?
How are we funded?
Right.
Yes, so that's a good question. So as I mentioned before, we are a public schools.
Right.
There's two types of charter schools. There are state charter schools and district charter schools. A state charter school gets money directly from, or their funding directly from the state Adequacy Education Fund. The district charter schools get local as well as state money. We are a state charter school, so the local towns have no impact. Their tax money does not follow the child to us, in other words.
Okay.
We only get the funding from the state. There's no monetary impact to the town. So, in fact, I would say it's a benefit actually to the local districts that we call them sending districts, that they receive still the tax money, the local tax money, and do not have to provide service actually to the students.
Right, right. So for those school systems that are at capacity, it's actually a huge benefit because they get a little bit of relief sending students to you, and they don't have that financial.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
And so for the location, our school is going to be in southern Manchester, right next to the airport on 5 Perimeter Road. We will be. The benefit to that town is that we are bringing additional funding actually to Manchester in that sense, because that's an additional service to the community as well as the surrounding communities without tax impact.
Sure, sure. Well, it sounds fantastic. I can't wait to hear more as the school opens and you progress down that path.
Yeah.
I know you have some informational nights coming up. I'd love for you to just mention that. You can look right in the camera and mention that to the audience so they can mark their calendars.
So we will have 4 informational nights. The first ones are April 2 and April 10. That's going to be in the sleep-in here in Londonderry in Exit 5. We hope to see you there at 7 p.m. As well as we're going to have April 15th in Hooksett at the Public Library at 7 o'clock, as well as May 12th in the Manchester City Library at 7 o'clock. That's the informational nights that we're going to have, and hopefully some more.
Fantastic. Do people need to RSVP for ahead of time for one of these nights, or can they just plan to come?
They can just plan to come. It's an open door.
Okay.
Anyone is welcome that wants to know more or wants to meet some of the teachers or the future leaders of the school. Some of the founders will be there as well.
Fantastic. And if someone can't make one of these informational nights or they have additional questions, how can they find you, Thomas?
The best is to go to our website. It's www.thefoundersacademy.org, and either we have a lot of information up there already, but if there are additional questions, send us an email or call us, and we are more than happy to answer any questions that they have.
Excellent, excellent. Anything else the audience needs to know about the Founders Academy?
We are very happy that we are now finally coming to reality to open the schools in this fall, this September, and we just hope that the community is welcoming us as much as we wish to open up.
Sure, excellent. Well, I hope so. I know a lot of work and planning has gone into it.
Yes.
So I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
And I will definitely keep tabs on where you're going.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Thomas. For our viewers at home, if you're interested in getting additional information about the Founders Academy, once again, you can visit their website at www.thefoundersacademy.org. Thank you so much for watching Business Matters. We'll see you next time.